What's going on, guys? My name is Davis, and I thought I would make a video just showing you guys the process that I use for my photos from beginning to end with post-processing. So Lightroom, Photoshop, how do I do something to get it on Instagram? Like, what are the steps that I take to make my photos look the way they do? So anyway, I thought we would jump into it with this shot that I have right here. So this is a sunset shoot that I did the other day with two yoga instructors, and I thought this photo came out pretty good. There's a few things I want to tweak, like, of course, I want to tweak the coloring. I want to get rid of the stuff in the background, like there's a lot of stuff in the water. There's this weird light post sign thing on the right side of the frame. I want to get rid of that and just clean it up and make it look a little bit better and the colors match better. I don't really like the blue in the top of the sky. I'd rather it be all kind of the same color throughout. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is just play around with the tones and stuff, like the highlights, shadows, whites, and just play with those. I'm going to lift the shadows up so we get that detail in the black so it's easier to see. Now, I'm not going to be keeping it looking like this. Like, I'm mostly just making this brighter so I can see where things begin and where things end. So when I do bring it to Photoshop, it's easier for me to work with removing things. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Band-Aid tool and just remove some stuff from the background. So just using the Band-Aid tool, just going over things and removing some stuff in the water that just, I don't know why it's there. I guess these were like fishing nets so people knew, hey, don't swim past this post or you're gonna have an issue. And just kind of start removing things. I can even use this line. I can even use the Band-Aid tool to get rid of this boat right here since it's on the edge. And then I'm probably gonna get rid of this boat too. Just, I don't like it. It's distracting from the frame. And I wonder if I could actually use this to remove this. Other than that, I would use Content Fill Aware to remove that, and that worked pretty well. So now the next thing I'm going to do is start getting rid of this light post. I'll try it out with this tool and see how it is, but I don't think it will work that well. That looks ugly. So I'm actually going to come up here to the lasso and just start going all around this post right here. And what I'm also going to do is try and get as close as I can to the post. I don't want to get far away. I want to stay nice and close to it. So now that I have that selected, I'm going to right click, fill, and make sure this is set to content aware. And then hopefully this disappears very nicely. Okay. That didn't work, so I'm just going to bring this back and do a different mask on it. Just because there's this building back here on the Connecticut shore that I don't like, so I'm gonna try using the tool to remove that. Now, I also gonna get a little bit further away from the post just because it is blurred a bit, so it's not a clean line. So when you do remove it, you have a little bit of like a gradient of where the post used to be, and I don't want that, so I'm just gonna get a little further away. So hopefully that eliminates that. I'm also just going to go around that shit in Connecticut. All right, and then we'll try that one more time. All right, and that worked much, much better. You can't even tell that there was something there anymore. Now, I'm debating whether or not to remove this boat here. I don't feel that it adds anything to the photo, and I also just kind of don't like it, especially with everything else being so clean on this water. It's really just a like aesthetic choice that I have, just because I'm not that interested in it, really. So I'm just gonna go back to the Band-Aid tool, if I can find it. Oh no, the shortcut for the Band-Aid tool, and just slowly start painting out this boat. Now, with this boat, I'm not going to use this tool. I mean, I probably could. We'll try it just to see what's going to happen, but I would more use Content Fill Aware and something like this. You know what? Never mind. That worked perfectly. So now that that's cleaned up, the background's cleaned up, and it gives me better room to crop in for the Instagram. I'm gonna hit Control S. I'm on Windows, so Command S if you're on Mac, and that's gonna throw that back into Lightroom. So this photo is gonna be used on Instagram. That's where I'm gonna end up posting it. This isn't like a client photo. This is just a personal photo that I took. So I'm actually gonna set this to a 4:5 crop. That's the crop that I use on all my Instagram photos to make them all the same size and coherent and nice looking. And then we're just gonna crop in, try and get it balanced right in the middle. Maybe set this on the rule of thirds. I don't really like that. I feel like there's too much of this dark. I would rather have more sky than dark. And this is the tedious part. It's just finding that crop that you like and just balancing everything. Now I'm pretty happy with that, so I'm gonna rock with this at this point. Now I'm actually gonna bring in some black, and that's going to give me more of the silhouette look that I wanted on this. I don't want all that detail in them, like just a little bit, not fully. I don't want to go like full darkness like this. I don't find it that interesting. Just like having a little, actually, you know what? Maybe we should. I'll just lift the shadow. No, that's way too much black. So right about here. See, this is all that my editing is. It's like I'm just playing around with things until I see what I like. So right now I'm more focused on the way that the models look in the photo, like just till there's like a little bit of detail. Now I want to have something in this foreground, and I forgot something. I want to level out the background. I want to level out the horizon in the background. So just go in here, crop, angle, and then just draw on the horizon a flat line, and that will straighten out the photo. So I'm actually going to use the, I don't even know what this is, this gradient mask tool here, and just draw in, hit O so I can see what I'm editing, like what the fill is covering. I'm just going to cover this and lift these shadows in it. And that's going to let me see the ground in front, and maybe play with the whites a bit, just get a little bit of light in there, the highlights, just to make it look a little nice so it's not so dark and hard to see everything. So I think that's looking pretty good. At this point, I would kind of just play with the white balance, make it a little cooler. And then I'm actually going to come all the way down. I'm going to come all the way down to the color calibration tool, and this is where I really start to have more fun with this. So I'm going to bring the reds 25 plus and the blues 25 negative, just to balance those out, and then just play with these until I get like a color that I like. And then maybe just move one the other way and just play around with these until I kind of find something that I'm happy with. So I'm pretty happy with the way that this looks. This is pretty good. And then I'll come up to the HSL sliders and just play around with the color a little bit more up here. And this is primarily all I really need to do for this photo. So like, what color is this saying? It's orange. So one other thing that I want to do is to fix the sun. Like, it's very bright and overbearing, so just play with like the highlights and bring it down and just play around with things. I mean, there's pretty good. And then I like to go in and out and see like what looks good, what doesn't. So this is starting to look good. I'm actually going to add another gradient up here, and I'm going to use this to make the sky actually match, blend in better, because I don't like this blue up here. I want it to be more red. So this is starting to get to the point where I'm pretty comfortable with it. There is one more thing that I want to do, just to add another layer on top of it. I'm actually gonna tone this down. It's a little too much for me. So that's starting to look good. We can even just raise the overall exposure a little bit. So now there's one thing that I'm gonna do just to kind of make this look even better. I'm gonna bring it back into Photoshop, I should have did this probably when I was doing it before. So now that I have it back in Lightroom, I'm actually gonna add like a little light hit that it gives us a little bit of like flare. So here's the image itself. It's not really looking that good right now. So we're actually going to change the blend mode to screen, and it's going to remove the black background. Now you can see the sun, can move it around, and we're just going to overlay it on here. And I'm more just doing this just to get that little lens flare. And it's going to add just a little bit of something to the photo. Play with it, and then even just turn down the opacity on it so it's not that noticeable, but it's a little something that you can see. And we'll bring that right back into Lightroom. So now this photo is looking pretty good. Just like a few more adjustments, and I think I pretty much had this to where I want it. And then one other thing that I do on like all of my photos is to use the split toning here, and in the shadows I'll add a teal color very low, and then bring the balance all the way over to the highlight side, so you get a little subtle bit of blue teal in the background. So if I toggle that on, you can see it's a very small thing, but for me it makes a big difference in the photo, and I'm pretty happy with the way that this came out. So after all the adjustments and little stuff that you did, because all of my photos really are is just doing a bunch of tiny adjustments to make it look not that different. With it, so you can see what the photo looked like before as opposed to the final edit. If you guys did like this video and want to see more of these like videos where I just talk to myself while I edit, and hopefully you guys find it educational or something, please consider subscribing to the channel, following me on Instagram so you can see more photos. I do tapped edits a lot on my Instagram stories, so if you want to see before and after, or if you want to see the process, let me know. Anyway guys, I'll see you in the next video.